Shalom again. It's nice to be with you. You know by now that shalom means hello and peace. And I hope that this hello finds you in peace. I am Rabbi Dr. Joseph Rosenfarb. I'm the Rabbi of Beth Synagogue here in Tidewater, Virginia. Our address, should you want to write us, is 7130 Granby Street, Norfolk, Virginia, 23505. You can call us at 757-423-3440. Or you can find us on the web. And if you've got questions, we'll be glad to answer them for you, either on the web or by personal email. So please write us. This season is the season of Pesach, Passover. Passover is one of the three pilgrim feasts in the Bible, of which there are three. Passover, Shavuot, also called Pentecost, and Sukkot, also called Tabernacles. It was a time where the males of Israel were to come to Jerusalem to present themselves before the Lord, a kind of reconnect, if you will. Passover is the festival that commemorates coming out of bondage, coming out of slavery, coming out of Egypt after hundreds of years there, and entering into a journey towards the Promised Land, which was completed by Joshua, as most people know. This holiday was so seminal that the definition of Shabbat changed from merely being the cessation of work by God, resting from His works in creation of the world, to also the time of remembrance of our coming out of Egypt and becoming the people of God. Now, this particular journey had with it four things that God was going to do. And these four things was in chapter 6 of the Exodus delineated for us. God would take us out of Egypt, number one. He would remove the bondage from Egypt, 2. 3, He would redeem us, literally buy us to be His people. And 3, take us for His people and that He would be our God. In these four verbs that are used in Exodus 6, during the Passover ceremony known as the Seder, in which the story of the Exodus and the symbols of the Exodus are explained, 4 cups of the fruit of the vine are taken, each cup representing one of these four verbs. And along with the fruit of the vine, we also have matzah, which is unleavened bread. The people of Israel wanted to get out of Egypt quickly, so they didn't have time for the bread to rise. So we eat this unleavened bread during the entire festival of Pesach. And then we have also the bitter herbs, reminding us of the bitterness of Egypt during the ceremony. And we are taken through the journey of bitterness into joy as God delivers us from the hand of Pharaoh. There are other symbols as well. We have the symbol of the egg, which represents, one, the covenant of God. No corners there. It's an eternal covenant. It also reminds us of the life that is within the egg when it is formed. And springtime, of course, is a time of rejuvenation and coming back to life, and a time really where we became the people of Israel, if you will. And we also have other symbols during the Seder. And if you ever have occasion to come to one of Beth Messiah's Seders, I think you will just be enriched by it. One of the things that I want to mention is this emergence of a people. From a group of slaves, God would produce a people, but He would have to remove their slave mentality, their slave character. He would have to give them different definitions of who He really was, instead of who the Egyptian gods and goddesses were, and all of the syncretism that occurred in Egypt. Think of the birth of Israel in natural ways. One, we have the birth pangs in Egypt, and the birth pangs are heard. And the baby starts through the birth canal, and the birth canal opens up, the Red Sea opens up, and the baby travels through the Red Sea. What a sight that must have been, walking behind one another, not being able to see the other side, walking in faith that the walls of the water would not collapse upon them. But there the baby is being birthed through the birth canal. And then on the other side, the baby comes out of the birth canal, and after the birth of the baby, comes water and blood. And thus the new child is born, Israel, the people of God. It's an exciting story, one worth reciting every year. and it changed the way in which we did business forever and ever. It is the way in which God redeems with an outstretched hand, is what the Scripture says. He heard our cry, He delivered us out of Egypt, and He can do that for us today in our personal travail, in our national travail if needed as well. So until next time, happy Pesach, Chag Sameach, happy holiday, and God go with you. Shalom.